Right, hello everyone, welcome back. As you can probably tell in this video, either by the title or by this, within this video I'm going to be showing you how I cover my brows. I know pretty much a lot of the brow cover tutorials out there do use the Elmer's purple glue stick. However, I know as a UK artist it is quite hard to resource and find those either in the country, whether you're ordering them off Amazon or eBay, or just generally finding a decent alternative. So within this video I'm going to show you how you can glue your brows down like this and colour correct and cover them well with just a bar of soap. So hopefully this should be quite informational for some people and should hopefully teach you how to cover your brows quite inexpensively. So stay tuned to see me cover my other brow. So as you can tell, I brought you in a little bit closer, so hopefully you can see there that it is quite flat. I realised that I did miss this inner corner quite a bit, but the general coverage of a brow is there. So pretty much I'm going to start off with a little forenote of pretty much if you are covering someone's brow, make sure that when you are applying your moisturiser after you've cleansed and toned, that you aren't putting moisturiser on the brow, because if you do put that product on there, the oils in that product will then make the soap not stick well, and it means that your brow hairs won't lay flat. Something else to mention, if your brows are freshly trimmed, they will also not lay flat. If they're plucked, I think it's alright. I'm 99% sure it's alright. But if they're trimmed, they will not lay flat. But other than that, I am going to get started. So firstly, I'm going to start off with a disposable spoolie wand. This one I've used before for this brow, so I'm not using a dirty one, don't worry. And I'm just going to put a little bit of water on my soap and then just swirl that around. This is the Pears soap, I think I got it from Tesco. I think I got 2 bars of it for about £1.59, so quite inexpensive to start off with. And pretty much I'll start off by going backwards through the brow and just making sure I get the underside of those hairs so that it all lays flat. I'm going to pay a little bit more attention to this front section, as that's where it's not been adhered well at the front there. So now that I've brushed it all underneath, I'm now going to take the spoolie and brush it in the direction that the hair grows. I'm now going to take my finger and then just press that down and push it against the skin. I'm then going to take the excess moisture off and just wipe it on my other hand. So I'm now looking like I've had my brows laminated, which isn't a bad look, it's very much in style at the moment. But I'm now just going to go in and rub my finger on that soap a little bit and then just apply a little bit more to the brow. I've noticed that this area is not laying as flat as I want it to, so I'm going to make sure to add more product there. Right, so now I'm going to get the edge of my bar of soap, put a little bit of water on it and just rub it, just take a little bit of that excess moisture off. And now I'm going to take this and brush it straight against the brow, making sure to apply pressure so that it lays as flat as possible. I mean, you can already see that that is really sticking it down to the skin. Something quite good about this method as well is that it is very much widely used and accepted in the makeup community. Obviously not by drag queens, but I know when working professionally, although it is good to have that Elmer's glue stick that everybody uses, it's not really designed to be used on the skin. So I know when it comes to practical assessments, if you are studying in college or uni doing makeup artistry, it is quite frowned upon to use non-skin safe products. With that as well, I have seen some drag queens make sure that there are no oils in the brow by using IPA on the brow. But if you've used IPA before, you know how strong it smells. And with that, it is 99% alcohol. So if that for some reason drips down and goes in your client's eye, safe to say it's not a good situation to be in. So I'm just going in and doing a couple more layers, making sure it really is stuck down. I'm starting to see a little bit of a shine on there, where it is laying flat, so that's looking alright. This is very much popping at the front, so I'm going to make sure to apply a little bit more at the front there, just to really make sure it lays flat. So here I often like to tilt my head and look at the brow to see if there's any hairs that are popping up. I've got a couple that have come out and are actually stuck to my forehead, so I'll have to get those off with a spoolie. But I'm looking at it and I'm actually very happy with the way that that is laying. There's no hairs that are stray that are popping up, and it's laying quite flat, so yeah, I'm quite happy to move on to powder. Right, so moving on to powder, I'm using the RCMA No-Colour powder. I will say this is probably one of the best powders I've ever owned. I've had this for about 4 years now. It's lasted me so long. It doesn't cause flashback from what I've experienced. I think if you did apply enough of it, you might experience flashback. But yeah, I'm going to take a little bit of this on a powder puff. Don't know if you can see that. Yeah, you can. I'm going to place my finger behind it like that, and then I'm going to press that and rock it into the brow. It's really important to press that and use a good translucent powder. You can also use pigmenting powders if you wanted, but it's really important to take that moisture out that we've applied with the brow soap. So now I'm just going to go around the edge and dust off the excess with a little powder brush. Now I'm going to move on to colour correction. So I think it is quite good me having dark hair, so I really can show off colour correction on a dark brow and show the cancelling out of the colour. So this is a little grease paint single from Kryolan. This is in shade D30. I'll zoom this out a little bit. This is in shade D30, which is pretty much the standard colour correction for blue tones. And I'm just going to start painting this onto the brow. Something about colour correction is only colour correct where you need it. So you can see I'm kind of following the natural shape of the brow. I'm not going all the way down here, I'm not going up here. I'm making sure to just paint on the brow where it's necessary. This is so that when you do put your foundation on, you don't get orange hue, because what we're doing is we're colour correcting. We're trying to neutralise the colour. So we're trying to take out the blue tones that are in the dark hair. And we're doing that. This is obviously not necessary for someone who has possibly lighter brown or blonde hair. This is just because I have darker hair and it shows through with the foundation without. So now I'm going to go in with a little bit more of this powder. I'm going to go in with this powder brush again, brush off the excess. So with foundation, if I were to be doing a full face of high coverage, I'd probably go in with something like this, a quite dense kabuki brush. However, for this look, I'm going to go in with something like this, which is a concealer or eyeshadow brush, and pretty much this just allows me to have that precision and place the product where I want, as well as blending the edges without then dispersing that product too much. As far as products that I'm planning to use, something that I do like is the Maybelline Superstay foundation. I think it's £10. It's a really full, high coverage foundation, especially from the drugstore. It's quite good. And then you also have the Revolution Pro foundation sticks. I think these were £5. I don't know whether they've now gone up to £6. I haven't bought some in a long while, but this is in shade F3, and as you can see, this is quite light, so I often do use it for cream highlighting. The Revolution Pro Conceal and Hydrate. This, I would say, is a good concealer for brightening. However, for brow cover, I think it is just too wet. And I think the reason why I like these two other options more is because they are thicker of consistency, so I think it is better for covering the brows. I think what I'll do is I'll go over with this first and then maybe go over with that, just to really make sure you can't see any of that pigment through. So usually, if I were to be using this on a client, I would spray it with IPA first, but this I'm just going to go straight in on the brow. And you really don't need much of this because you have colour corrected. You shouldn't need too much product. But there you can see that brow is virtually gone now. I'm just going in with this and just tapping the edges and pressing that into the skin very gently. Again, not to move that product and disperse it too much. Right, there you go. That has covered the brow quite well, but I think what I'm going to go in with now is go over with another layer of this. I know some artists do then powder in between their foundations, however I think that can just make it look a little bit too thick and a little bit too cakey and just look too heavy on the skin. So I'm just taking a little bit of this, tiny little dollops, and just pressing this onto the brow just to ensure coverage, and just being really gentle and really light with my movement. Yeah, this one I really did not apply enough soap there. That really has popped. But there, as you can see, that brow is thoroughly covered. Again, for the last time, I'm going to go in with a little bit more powder. And then I'm just going to brush that excess away. Sometimes I'll leave that to bake for a little bit, but for this instance, as I'm not going anywhere, I'm just going to dust it off. And there you go, there is the brow coverage tutorial. Obviously, as you can see on this one, I would say focus a little bit more on the front, as that is kind of the area that pops a little bit more. But I think, to be honest, I've done a pretty good job to say that I've done it only with soap, a little bit of powder, and pretty much budget products, I'd like to say. I think probably the most expensive thing is this powder, which I think is £11, and the foundation at 10, the foundation stick at 6, concealer at 7, and soap at about £2. So I'd like to think I did a pretty good job. If you did enjoy this, thank you very much. Possibly give it a like, and also possibly subscribe to my channel if you want to see more beauty content. But thank you very much for watching.